you've answered what this passage means to you based off of your own personal interpretation. And once we finish this series, I would like for you to ask that question again, and then you can compare what your answer is then compared to what it is now. How should we apply this to our own personal life? How are you doing with applying it to your life? And you're going to be the judge of that. And then where do you want to be in 90 days in reference to your spiritual battle, your spiritual, dealing with spiritual warfare? I'm going to apologize right now because I may hurt somebody's feelings here in just a moment. And if I do, it's not intended to hurt your feelings, but just we're going to deal with some realities. We talk about...
Is that recording? I'm trying to see it from here. You sure it's
Yes,
recording?
it is. It shows record on it.
And so we're gonna really talk about what this means before we start to break down the scripture. So when we deal with spiritual warfare, it means it's something that's going on in the spiritual realm. It's in the supernatural realm. It's in a realm that we can't see and a realm that we don't really understand. So oftentimes what we'll do, we'll explain it the best that we know how. But the truth be told, everyone here, to include Pastor, we walk more in our flesh than we walk in the spiritual realm. A lot of times what happens is we will respond in the flesh, and then God will convict us and we'll realize that instead of responding in the flesh, we should have dealt with it because it became spiritual warfare. And when we realize it is spiritual warfare, a lot of times, even after we realize it, what we'll do, we'll still deal with it in the flesh versus stopping, praying, and then dealing with it from a spiritual perspective. And so we've said before, and it's true, whether we believe it or not, or whether we respond to it or not, it's another dimension. The spiritual realm is another dimension. And anything that happens in the physical realm happens in the spiritual realm or the spiritual dimension before it happens here. However, since we walk more in the natural, and since we're dealing in the natural, some of the things we do in the natural realm, we watch TV, we listen to music, we hold conversations just about things that we like. Not that the conversation is wrong, it's just a conversation about things that we're concerned with that really have no spiritual value to them. And so, since we spend most of our time in the natural realm, it's hard to switch. Like we cut the light switch on and off, it's hard to switch off and on and automatically go into the spiritual realm. When you're on the battlefield or you're practicing for the battle, what happens is when you put that armor on and you're giving live ammunition, there's almost a mind shift. Okay, that says, okay, this is for real. And I need to change, and I'm on the lookout, I'm on alert. And so then you're looking for the enemy. What happens for us is the enemy comes looking for us, but we aren't looking for him. And when we're not looking for him, we don't recognize him when he comes. And he's up on us, attacking us, and we don't really realize what's going on when he's attacking us. And so when we respond to it, we respond back in the natural realm. And so, in other words, what that look like is my wife and I may be getting along really well. All right? We're not talking about the Bible. We're not talking about church, but we're just having a husband and wife conversation. And all of a sudden she can have a mood change. And when she has a mood change, that means her tone of voice changes, the deflection or her voice is amplified. Her physical, she may have been smiling, and all of a sudden now she's frowning. And so she will just have a complete mood change. Now when she has the mood change, I will respond in the natural realm like, what in the world happened to you? You was just smiling. You just wanted to give me a kiss. Now all of a sudden I go to kiss you and you jerk it away. All right? So I'm going to respond in the natural realm And then the spirit would say, okay, this is spiritual warfare. All right? So if it's spiritual warfare, what should I do? What should I do immediately once I recognize the spiritual warfare, what should I do? I should start to pray. All right? Now, I'll just be honest with you. I don't know if you like me or not, but when it comes to my spouse, all right, and we go in there, I want to hold a conversation with her and find out what's wrong. All right? Instead of immediately starting to pray. All right? So that becomes spiritual warfare. And even though I have the armor, I'm not utilizing it. Because I'm so comfortable, and we become comfortable in dealing with the spiritual realm. And so if we're going to meet our 90-day goals, all right, if we're going to grow in the spiritual realm, if we're going to come to knowledge of the spiritual realm, that means we're going to have to start spending some more meditation time with God. We're going to have to spend some more time in reading the Word. We're going to have to ask God to help us immediately recognize the enemy when he comes, and to help us to immediately cut on our spiritual war switch so that we can go into battle mode. Now that's uncomfortable. All right? Let's just be honest with you. That's going to be uncomfortable because we're going to be like this. Boom, 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 boom. You know, when I was in Afghanistan, the whole time that I was there, I knew I was in war mode. Once I got back on American soil, then I knew that I wasn't in that type of war mode. And the spiritual warfare is not that cut and dry. The devil may leave you alone until the last hour of the day. It doesn't matter. Or he may wait and hit you the first hour of the day. But what we have to do is be prepared that whenever he comes, we have to recognize that he's coming. And then we have to deal with him from a spiritual perspective. Because just as God is a spirit, the devil is a spirit. All right? Now I want to throw some stuff out there just so that we understand. Because we have songs with lyrics that are not biblical. And we internalize those songs. Okay? You cannot beat or step on the devil's head. All right? You can't, in the natural realm, we are no match for the devil. Okay? So let's get that clear. In the natural realm, we are no match for the devil. So the only way that we can even go into battle with the devil is allow the Spirit of God that's in us to fight the devil. All right? The devil doesn't care about us saying that I'm going to step on your head, I'm going to stomp the devil out. He don't care about you saying that. Matter of fact, he just laughs at us because he realizes we are misinformed, and as long as we're misinformed, he doesn't have to worry about us. Because that's not how you fight it. That's not how you deal with it. And so we need to throw that out. There's a concept now in songs that are out that says we're going to take back what the devil stole. Throw that ideology out. You can't take nothing back from the devil. All right? First of all, if all of us are Christians, the devil can't steal anything from us or from you unless God allows him to do it. Now, which one of us got to be bigger than God? That God says, I'm going to allow the devil to steal this from you. And then we're going to say, well, no, you're not, because I'm going to take it back. Does that make sense? But that's what the ideology says. I'm going to take back everything the devil stole from him. No. If God allowed him to take it, one or two things. Either we didn't need to have it, or God has something better. Either case, our focus should be on God and what God is doing, and not on what the devil stole. Now, I want to, if we use that ideology, just so we clear the air, what is it that the devil steals from us that we can take back? Joy. If he steals your joy, you're going to take the joy back from him. Okay, can the devil really steal your joy?
No.
No. So, no, can't take the joy back from him because he can't really steal your joy. You can give it to him, but he can't steal. That is the scripture says what? The joy of the Lord
It's my strength.
is my strength. And so if joy comes from the Lord, he can't take what the Lord gave me.
Right.
Now, he might be able to steal your happiness, because happiness is predicated on what's done and materialistic things and what's done. It didn't. The Bible didn't say that our happiness is in Lord, but our joy. There's a big difference between joy and happiness. Okay, so now joy. What else? What? How about your finances? Can the devil steal your finances? Can he steal your finances?
Depending on how you look at that.
Okay, so elaborate.
I think he can steal your finances if you are not, he can make chaos where your finances are going out more than you got coming in.
Okay.
Like he can, like stuff just start happening to your finances. Just you got to replace stuff or got to fix something, or your car break down unexpectedly. It's stuff like that. I think that he can steal some of your finances, stuff
Okay.
that you're not prepared for.
Okay. Anybody else want to chime in on it? What y'all think? You agree with it? Disagree?
I mean, in a physical, human sense, I would agree with what Melissa said. In a spiritual sense, I would say no, he can't steal our finances, because according to the word, God says we have it already. We have everything. I mean, as far as wealth, riches, whatever it is we need, we have it. It's just, us doing what we need to do and walking in that victory to receive those blessings. So, I mean, I don't know.
That's what I was gonna say too, but I can see where she's coming from.
Right.
But could it also
Natural
be just God
comes to your house and you sitting right there at the door or at the window with a shotgun, how much is that robber gonna steal?
No, going to the next house.
What they gonna steal? Okay, but if you're sound asleep and you don't have a shotgun or you don't have a 9mm, you have no type of protection, and they come in and you sleep, bless you sleep like a rock, so you don't even hear them come in. They can rob you and leave, and you won't even know that you were robbed until the next morning because you weren't prepared. Bless you. All right. Understand the difference? You weren't prepared. When, as Christians, we need to understand spiritual warfare and be prepared. And when we're prepared, the more we're prepared, the less the devil will be able to steal, kill, or destroy. He does that because we don't have the full armor on. All right? So, as we go through, this is from the Interlinear Bible. Interlinear Bible just takes the words and it puts it in, it takes it and translates it from the Greek. So since we're doing, bless you, we're doing the New Testament. So as we read this, and right now, just so that we get a different understanding of what it's saying before we actually start to dissect it. Finally, so Paul starts out, he's giving some instructions. All right? Remember again, when we read our Bible, this broke down in chapters and verses, the letters that Paul sent were just like letters that we write. They had paragraph breaks, but they didn't have chapters and verses. So he's explained some other things in this letter to the church at Ephesus, which is a wicked church, all right, and a wicked area. So he explains some things and he says, finally, after all this other stuff that I said, I'm getting to this point, so I want you to pay attention. So he's telling us, HHMBC, pay attention right now. He says, be strengthened by the Lord and by His vast strength. Whose strength did he say for us to be strengthened by?
My God.
Okay, so this is not us. Again, we have to step out of our natural habitat, step out of where we're comfortable, step out of our flesh where we normally operate, and realize he's saying, get your strength by the Lord. And by the way, he has mighty strength. So he says it's vast. So there's enough, he has enough strength for every one of us. Okay? So he says, finally, be strengthened by the Lord and by His vast strength. Put on the full armor of God so that you can stand against the tactics of the devil. Put on the full armor. Whose armor is he telling us to put on? Okay? So what he's saying is, don't go get the armor that the Army gives you. Don't get the armor that the Air Force gives you. Don't get your own personal armor. Don't get your own personal weapons. All right? Some of us, we have our own personal weapons. He didn't say get any of that. He says put on God's armor. Now, I'm going to say something about the armor here really quick. The armor that Paul is using as an example for us, if we utilize that in the spiritual realm, he didn't give us anything that covers up the back other than the helmet. The helmet is the only thing that covers up the back of your head and the back of your neck. The rest of your back, buttocks, back of your legs, all of that stuff is exposed. What do you think that means? What do you think that could mean?
That the devil is not going to come with a sneak attack. He's coming straight at you from the front.
Okay? And that's a concept that we don't like because we normally say the devil snuck up on us. What Paul is telling you is the devil is coming since he has to get permission. God has already said it, so he can't come in and sneak up from you from behind. He has to come straight forward where you can see him. And if you have the armor on, you're already protected. So when we say the devil snuck up on us, we're giving him more credit than he's due. So it also should build our faith that we understand that when he comes, God has equipped us so that we can see him coming. Which means then we just need to be on the lookout. If he sneaks up on you, he snuck up on you in the front while you were asleep. Now, do we sleep? Do we spiritually sleep? Yeah, we do. Sometimes I just explain to you, you know, me and my wife will be having a good conversation, we're having a good day. And all of a sudden, I'm spiritually asleep because she changes mood. Her voice changed, her face changed, and I automatically want to respond to what she's doing versus looking at it from the spiritual realm and saying, okay, all right, baby, I love you anyway, and start to pray. I don't have to say, devil, get behind me, because what's going to happen then?
You call me a devil?
Thank you. That's just going to make it worse. Yeah, you calling me a devil? I need to go to praying inside and then not respond to her based off of the way that she's responding, but to respond to her based off of spiritual direction. Okay, God, what do I need to say right now? Do I need to say something? Do I just need to be quiet? Do I need to give her a hug? Or do I need to leave her alone? All right? And so it says, put on the full armor of God as God's armor so that we can stand against the tactics of the devil. So what we're saying is that the devil has some tactics, and we're going to talk about what those tactics are. He has a strategy for getting to God's people. But again, where our faith is increased is that whatever tactics he uses, the fight's already fixed. We're not fighting for victory. We're fighting from victory. God has already given us the victory. And so Tony Evans uses an illustration. When you record a basketball game on your DVR, the game, you haven't seen the game, but you may have the knowledge that your team won, but you didn't get to see the game. So when you go and watch the game on the DVR, when your team is down, you're not worried because you already know they won. It's the same thing with us. We have already won. So when we understand the devil's tactics, again, it doesn't mean we're not going to get knocked down, because sometimes he catches us sleeping or catches us off guard and we get knocked down. But the good thing about it is, it's not that we get back up on our own, all right? It's not us, because it's not our armor. God will pick us back up and say, all right, get back in the fight. Okay? So he didn't give us the armor to say you're not going to get attacked. He didn't give us the armor to say you're not going to get hit. He didn't give us the armor and say, well, you're not even going to get wounded. What he said is that you already have the victory. So you get some war wounds, okay? Some scars from the battle. For our battle is not against what?
Flesh and flesh.
Okay? So our battle is not in the natural realm. We get this flesh and blood thing, but then we say it, but we don't really internalize it. The battle is not against my wife. The battle's not against my son. The battle's not against your children. The battle's not against somebody on your job. The battle's not against your next door neighbor. All right? Even if it's the next door neighbor that the devil's using, your battle is still not against the next door neighbor. Even if it's your child the devil's using, the battle's not against your child. Even if it's your spouse that the devil's using, the battle's not against your spouse. And even though you may not want to admit it, even though it's you that the devil's using, the battle's not against yourself. Now I know y'all probably say the devil don't use y'all at all, but I'm just going to tell you, sometimes the devil comes right up and I just allow him to use me and realize it afterwards and have to pray and ask God for forgiveness. Now, I don't know if that happens with you all, but there's sometimes that, you know, I say some things that I knew I shouldn't have said, but I said them anyway. Because sometimes it almost feels like you feel better when you say them, and then when you do say them, you really don't feel better because the Holy Spirit convicts you and then beats you up. Now, I don't know if y'all have ever experienced that. But, for our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against, notice what he's saying. So, we're going to have to define, and we will. What are the rulers? Or who are the rulers? Against authorities. Who are the authorities? Against the world's powers of this darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavens or in the spiritual realm. Now, I'm going to throw this out now, and we're going to go back over it a few times so that we can comprehend this. Some of these here, authorities, rulers, authorities, world powers, are actual people. All right? So if we understand this, so we have to ask ourselves, okay, it just told us we're not fighting against flesh and blood. So even when the devil uses some people who are flesh and blood, we have to recognize that they're being used by the devil. Otherwise, if we don't get this concept, then we will think that everything is in the spiritual realm. No. So there are some people who the devil uses that come against you, and you have to realize it's not the person, but it's the spirit that's in the person. And when you recognize that it's the spirit that's in the person, then you're able to treat the person like you're supposed to treat people. In other words, the way that you want to be treated, but then you're able to go into your spiritual war room and begin to fight that spiritual battle in the spiritual realm. So I don't know if you've worked with somebody that the devil used to come against you, and our natural response is we want to knock that person out. We want to tell the folks something. We want them fired. If they're not fired, we want to take them into the war room, and I'm not talking about the war room from the movie The War Room. We want to take them into the real war room. And we want to deal, we don't like that person, we don't want to go around that person, and our dislike becomes our natural dislike really for that person. We'll call them nasty, we'll call them a whole bunch of other names. Women like to call other women's heifers, you know, and you'll call us something because you don't understand you're in a spiritual warfare. It's not the person that you're fighting, but it's the spirit that is in the person. And when we can get that it's the spirit that's in the person, then we can begin to win that battle. And a lot of times what will happen is God allow you to win that person to the Lord as you fight through that battle and fight it from a spiritual perspective. But in the beginning, if we don't understand that, we don't want to have nothing to do with them. We're definitely not going to win them to the Lord because we go into the flesh and we deal with them in the flesh. And a lot of times what happens, we'll deal with them, then we'll say, okay, Lord, forgive me. Am I right?
Oh, you definitely right.
Oh, I'm just wondering if I'm the only one in here that has that problem. We'll deal with it our way and say, God, forgive me. Rather than to deal with it from a spiritual perspective. All right? All right, he goes on and says, this is why, in other words, what he's saying is, you're dealing with stuff in the spiritual realm. And because you're dealing with the spiritual realm, this is why you must take up, who did he say must do it?
You,
Me. Okay, so what he's saying here is this becomes individual. It becomes personal. Okay, he says, you must take up the full armor of God. We've got to understand that spiritual realm in order to do it. We have to be able to walk in the spiritual realm in order to put on the spiritual armor. Because how do you know if you have it on if you don't know what it is from the spiritual realm? All right? And what it's supposed to do. You know, when they gave me a protective mask, it would do me no good if I didn't know how to use it. Back in the day when they gave me M16, they have different weapons now, but when they gave me M16, they took me in a class and taught me how to use it, taught me how to break it down, taught me how to clean it before we ever fired it. All right, Deacon Nipper? You didn't fire it until you learned all about it. Learned the size of the magazine. It's air cooled, gas fed, and all the other good stuff about it. You learned that before you went to the range. Because if you have it and you don't know how to use it, it's of no effect. So it says you must take up the full armor of God so that you may be able to do what?
Resist.
In what?
The
evil.
I'm going to pause right there for a minute. That didn't say nothing about beat the devil, did it? It didn't say nothing about take nothing back from the devil, did it? It don't even say rebuke the devil, does it?
Nope.
What did it say you can be able to do?
Resist.
Resist.
What does resist mean?
That you are able to
Walk away.
not do what you're being
Resist.
enticed
Walk
to do.
away.
Survive.
Say walk away.
Just walk away.
What was that you said?
Survive.
Okay, now, see, I need some help here. Because up to this point, we were talking about fighting in the spiritual realm, weren't we? Fighting is an action word, right?
Mhm.
All right? So we just going to be real as we understand it. Fighting in the natural realm means we're doing something. Paul says, what we're going to do in the spiritual realm, he says, you resist the devil. So who does the fighting?
God.
Say that again.
God. He does
Okay.
the same thing.
So if God is going to do the fighting, but we have on spiritual armor, then we have to realize how to resist the devil and allow God to fight the battle. Anybody here had big sisters and big brothers that fought for you?
I ain't had no sister, but I had an auntie.
Get an auntie that fought for you? When I'm the oldest in my family, so I didn't nobody to fight for me. I did the fight. So when your family member comes to fight for you, what do?
Stand
Stand
back.
back and let them do it.
Stand back.
Talk trash.
Yeah, you stand back, talk trash. You don't take no licks. You don't give no licks.
I got my auntie on you.
You just watch. Hopefully
They win.
you watch your family member beat the other person up.
Right.
All right? And so that's the concept here. God is going to do the fighting, but unfortunately, because we will mix up what we do in the natural realm and try to take that and transpose it into the spiritual realm, we actually think that we're supposed to be fighting the devil. We can't fight the devil. I mean, how many of you saw The Exorcist? I know that's long time ago.
I can touch that.
The spiritual realm is so strong and mighty, the devil can throw you all up against the wall. I mean, we know about the 7 sons of Sceva. They got beat up, stripped of their clothes, and run out the house naked. All right? That's the spiritual realm. Do you really think that you can go head to head or toe to toe with the devil? No. So, you think God's going to put you in that position? No. What we're supposed to do is resist the devil and allow God to do the fighting. So he says, we put on the spiritual armor so that we can resist him in that evil day. Now, what's the evil day?
Everything.
What's the evil day?
Everything.
Every day. What's the next one? What's to you? What's the evil day? I have a question. Another question. If we're doing all of this to resist the evil day, we got to know what the evil day is, though. We have to be able to recognize the evil day. Tony Evans says, the evil day is the day that the devil comes against you. All right? So he may leave you alone for a week. He may leave you alone for a month. All right? And so we understand that we're in a wicked, evil world. But what he's talking about here, what Paul is talking about, when the devil comes and confronts you on your battle space, that becomes your evil day. And when he comes and confronts you on that day, you have to be able to resist him and allow God to do the fighting. Now, in order for you to do that, you need to have your armor on. Because if you don't have your armor on, then you're not going to be able to resist. Does that make sense?
If you don't have your armor on, you won't get wounded, you get killed.
Well, in the natural realm, we would get killed. We belong to God, so if we don't have our armor on, it just means that we're going to go through unnecessary warfare that will affect us in the natural realm. It's going to start in the spiritual realm, but it's going to affect us in the natural realm. Now, I'm going to share something with you, and then it's 8:30, so I got to close out.
I got a
She set that up for 8:30.
She said, it's time to go, Reverend. When I was a part of the Messiahs, because there are certain symbols that attract demons. And if we talk in the spiritual room, we're going to really get into it. If we believe in angels and believe in God, then we have to believe in demons, because demons are fallen angels. So they were angels before they became demons. So we can't believe in God and angels and not believe in demons and the devil. Because God created all of them were in heaven at one time. If you don't believe in none of them, then that means you don't believe in the spiritual realm at all. But if you believe in God, then God is a spirit. So then we believe in the spiritual realm. If God's a spirit, then the devil's a spirit. If we believe God has angels that protect us, then we have to believe that there are demons that want to attack us. All right? And so there are symbols that attract demons. And you can have that stuff in your house and you don't know it. Or you can have something that you went on one of these trips and say, you used to go to Hawaii and they had the little lava gobs made up, and you get that as a souvenir and you bring it home and you put it in your house. And so that little thing would be attracting whatever demons that were associated with it. Or to you not knowing what's going on. You just bought a nice souvenir. What happens is, what you may recognize is that after you brought that in, or whatever these symbols are, for me it was when I was in the Masonics and some of the symbols that you start to have some strange things happen. Like, for me, you start to have arguments that you don't even know what you're arguing about. You start to have problems with the children that you hadn't had before. You start to have some type of physical element that you didn't have before. And you recognize that you didn't have it before, but you don't associate these new strange things that are going on with the new little guy that you brought into your house. All right? And so what we have to understand then is that if we're going to resist and we understand the spiritual warfare, it's certain things that we have to get rid of so that we don't attract them. It's not that they're going to win. It's that if you have them there, you're just dealing with unnecessary spiritual battle. Now, who wants to go through unnecessary spiritual battle? If you don't have to go, the devil's going to get you enough as it is, that rather than for us to have to go through what we shouldn't have to go through because we brought it on ourselves. It's not that the devil's attacking you, it's that you have something that invites. If I invite you to come to my house, all right, and every time you come to my house, you tear my house up, but I keep telling you to come anytime the door is open and let you in. Whose fault is it that my house get tore up?
Yours.
It's mine. And that's in the spiritual realm. That's what we do when we have these things that invite demons in. They come in and they wreak havoc. And the devil's not even coming to attack us because of our walk with God. What you've done is said, "Hey, devil, send the lust demon here and let him rest in my house." And so the lust demon said, "Oh, I got an open invitation." So he comes and he stays until you kick him out. All right, I gotta shut down. We'll pick back up because he says, resist him in the evil day. That evil day is when he attacks you, and having prepared everything. Let me say that, and then we will go. Having done what?
Everything.
Having prepared everything to take your stand. Are you standing yet? Are you standing yet? When he's talking here, are you standing yet? No. He said, having prepared everything to take your stand. It says, and having done all to stand in the King James. All right? And we take that and we don't get the full meaning of it. Here it's telling us, he said, after you have prepared to take your stand. So we're going to come back and we'll talk about what's that preparation. Because you can't stand until you prepare to. So next week we'll pick up on, and somebody put that down for me so I know where we're at. What do we have to do to be prepared to stand? And actually, you can make that your homework. What do you have to do? Oh, she thought she was going to get out here without homework. What do you have to do to be prepared to stand?